Hey everybody, Brian Rao here for The Initiative, checking in with Capcom's downloadable episodes for Resident Evil 5. First up is Lost in Nightmares, and let's just say that the Resident Evil timeline is getting more confusing than a Quantum Leap marathon dubbed in Swedish. Mashed between Umbrella Chronicles and Resident Evil 5, Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield approach the mansion of Oswald Spencer, which isn't Spencer's mansion from Raccoon City, although it is, because they look the same, even though they're not. Regardless of which mansion this may or may not be, deja vu is unavoidable. The bloodstained foyer, the dining room, even Moonlight Sonata. Where's the typewriter? The stage is set for full-on fan service, but like a rebellious teen, Lost in Nightmares is determined to thwart the expectation, as evidenced by the distinct lack of dogs jumping through windows. In fact, enemies are a rare commodity. I'm not even sure if this one counts. The only real adversaries are 10 hunchback monstrosities dragging anchors. The lumbering sea dogs are incredibly strong and equally resilient, but their meandering feet pose little threat without the usual zombie hordes gnawing at your back. In fact, it's usually easiest to simply run right around them. Although it may be lacking in action, Lost in Nightmares is perfectly mired in an atmosphere of gloom with deep shadows invading every crevice and ominous footsteps shuffling around the corners. It's enough to give you pause, but only until you realize that there isn't much of anything to fear. Nonsensical puzzles involving medallions and passwords are almost obligatory, but Capcom could have at least put some thought into them. When you find a crank or a medallion, it's a sure bet that there's only one place to put it. After the game, Excella and Barry take center stage in Mercenaries Reunion. Barry offers the skull-bursting fun of magnum power, while Excella chains combo after combo with her semi-machine guns and a mean pimp slap. Unfortunately, neither Barry nor Excella are welcome in Versus mode, and the 6 mysterious silhouettes on the selection screen are reserved for the second episode and a purchasable costume pack. Reprising the role of Jill Valentine, the Master of Unlocking, is a definite perk to Lost in Nightmares, as are the additions of Barry and Excella to Mercenaries. But Lost in Nightmares lacks the action, intelligent puzzles, and storytelling to be considered much more than briefly nostalgic trip. And I emphasize brief. Your first playthrough really shouldn't take more than 90 minutes, which is actually being extremely generous. If Lost in Nightmares is an homage to the roots of Resident Evil, the second episode, Desperate Escape, is a celebration of the series' kinetic new direction. You won't find a single medallion to insert or a crank to spin, which is great news after the previous gauntlet of Carpal Tunnel. Desperate Escape is all about action, and to be honest, there just might be too many Majini for Jill Valentine and Josh Stone to handle. In addition to the unrelenting hordes infesting the compound, executioners, chainsaw-wielding freaks, and Gatling gunners are present in full strength. There is barely a moment to catch your breath, let alone heal or swap supplies. Unlike the previous episode, Desperate Escape is a multi-level playground of platforms, and the Majini utilize every vantage point to lob Molotovs, flaming arrows, and even grenades. The fact that the landscape is littered with explosive barrels and flammable canisters of oil certainly doesn't help your chances of survival. Don't worry though, you'll have plenty of firepower of your own. The one feature lacking in Desperate Escape is a plot, although you should be too panicked to care. Teamwork is an essential element of survival. As Jill, you'll have to play the scout, flanking enemies and unlocking the gates for your partner. As Josh, just hope that your partner doesn't forget to open the door. In this round of Mercenaries Reunion, players get to take Josh Stone into battle along with Rebecca Chambers, who was last seen in Resident Evil 0 and the Umbrella Chronicles. I especially enjoyed Rebecca's combination of MP5 and Jailbreaker, but I still can't shake the disappointment of not having any extra levels, although I'm willing to bet that we'll see more shortly, for an additional fee of course. Like its downloadable sibling, Desperate Escape is short, barely clocking in at an hour for a decent run with a few continues. On the plus side, It is one of the most intense experiences in all of Resident Evil history, and has immense replay value for speedruns at higher difficulties. If Desperate Escape is a hint at the future of Resident Evil, I'm sold.